I'm not what he said. They are the part of the journey, and we are forced to write something about us, and which we want to disguise ourselves because knowledge is नहीं. That's why we put designations and other things. Please forgive me for the way I have been introduced. आम आदमी है, सोच आम आदमी की तरह है. यहाँ आए थे भी आम आदमी बन के. It was very odd for me to sit there. I'm not that big. JNU is close to me because I spent around 5 years in JNU. I was there in Satluj, spent a lot of time in Ganga, and unsuccessful in UPSC, had a girlfriend, JRF, all those things. So I had a small work in Delhi, and the moment the Mahesh, my friend, who was junior to me, then I said, give me 1 day in JNU so that I can get a duty leave. Fine. So it all started from that. So, and let me get into what I have thought of. In fact, the things which I was supposed to speak, I have almost forgotten it, was looking at India and Central Asia in terms of the historical ties. Fine. In terms of the art tickets that they get it, and where you find out the hints of Indian art, and perhaps you find out how the religion has traveled and how the scriptures have been come out. Something was striking my mind then. Perhaps what we have seen in terms of cultural ties and historical ties, have they come after the commercial ties? That was the first thing which was hinting me. In fact, there may be a similarity of the culture for which you have found out acceptance of the scriptures and assimilation of things. People move, and Shilpis also move. And if there is a bigger commercial ties, maybe that is always followed by cultural ties. Fine. And sometimes it's also reverse when you find out when the culture moves, people move, and a big business opportunity moves out also. The way you find out Indian movies and NRIs and diaspora and how it has been benefiting our trade. So, and that has become one of the interest groups that serve India. Now let's get back to a little bit of Central Asia. I'm sorry if I say I'm big zero on this, and if I add something, it's getting 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 100. Fine. If I get it around 5 out of 100, it's okay because I failed in a lot of subjects. Fine. So, first of all, the importance of Central Asia for India is gaining more and more after the disturbances that are created because of the turmoil that is having between Russia and Ukraine, which is, and Chinese hegemony that over, let's say on the seaside, as well as the investment in Gadar. And you find out also the support that the region is assumed to get from the forces which are not in harmony of India's security. Fine. So look at this. If we can have a better tie with these countries, perhaps we are gaining in 3 ways. First of all, look, we have to look at which are the areas where these countries need development. Fine, because we cannot compete with China. China has got a business worth around $70 billion now. It stands at $70 billion. And if you look at the investment that they've made in that region and the committed investment, it comes around 550. I don't know, that's the literature I have gone through. And I was just aghast, because look at the border that the China is having with them. Look at the ethnicity that these people are having, right from Afghan to the Mongolia to Kazakhstan and the Chinese Uyghur. Fine. So it was always in the interest of the China to look at that part because China wants a committed, natural resources. And so far we have been gaining out of our ties with Russia, and they were the erstwhile republics of, part of Russia. And perhaps because of breakup of Russia, we gain some footage in terms of diplomatic offices coming out there. Perhaps the work, the specialization that these diplomatic offices need to have not been developed so far. The ties which has happened, I think it's around $2 billion. That's what our business is worth with Central Asian economies. If you look at this, look at what is the massive Chinese investment, what is our investment. Fine. And look at, perhaps our requirement is more there. But at the same time, we have China, which has guarded its national interest and has been little benevolent in terms of investing and giving them loans. Now the question comes, when there is a war, perhaps the interest of the Europe is getting hampered. You look at what is the inflation rate in Europe and what has happened to the price of the oil and gas and how the households have been affected. Perhaps they are looking for having a better ties with Central Asian economies, overlooking the Russian interest. Fine, we cannot, Russia is a good friend, we cannot be that bad to Russia, so we cannot that. At the same time, we cannot compete with China. At the same time, we need to provide, and we have to become a better ally in terms of trust between that US expects from Central Asian economy. Fine. So we can be one of those mediator in between because we have historically and culturally a stronger ties with them, and nowhere in the history it's written, even in the modern history, after India getting independence and these economies are getting independent, we had any sort of tensions with them, neither any terrorist foundations operating from those soils have been influential in India getting any threats. Fine. So that's the trust, that's something that we have in plenty with these economies, which needs to be harnessed through people in power, because they need to have a design for at least 20 years or 10 years so that, from which the economic ties will get strengthened. It's not the market which is going to lead them. What we have studied here, it is the culture, it's never the market. Fine? So when we look at economic ties, perhaps it's not the economy which is going to move, because in that case, what we are going to give to the Central Asian economies, like Chinese, we are not going to put them into a lot of commercial goods and consumer goods. That's not what we are looking at. What we are looking at is a long-term development of these economies and what we are expertise at. Fine. And where we think, because these economies are also looking at de-risking themselves, because heavy dependence on China is going to make them worse off in distant future, because that they must be seeing what is happening to the Pakistan, what is happening to the Sri Lanka. I think the literate people and the literate government there, unfortunately, which has been little, we say, if you look at the way these economies have been developed, mostly the Russian splinter groups have enjoyed the power, or party in power seems to be, there is no, more democracy is supposed to come out, and people must be having these thoughts. It's quite natural, when the economy, when we give time to economy, we give time to maturity, we give time people who are literate to have some views on the economy. So we are at a right opportune moment, because these economies are looking forward to de-risking themselves, and when we say de-risking themselves, they need a sizable investment from Europe, at the same time not antagonizing Russia. They need expertise and development support from India, at the same time India not becoming competitor to China. They need support from US, because if somebody grows more, he looks towards the capitalist economy. Fine. Your defenses, you may be looking towards Russia for your development. Look, listen, what has happened to India? We are trusted earlier of Russia, but most Indians go to US. Fine. Our economy interest is with the US, our security interest is with that. That's called diplomacy. How these economies have to learn from India in terms of how to manage, how to grow, and how to foresee your future 50 years down the line. That's what we are looking at. We are not becoming your immediate trading partners, but give us scope to win your hearts. That India is looking forward to, that Indian professionals are also looking forward to. What we have in plenty is something called professionals, expertise, mostly education, services, softwares. These are the areas that you are looking forward to, wired into. Fine, financial services. Now, instead of looking to the West, look towards India. India gives these services at 1/10 the cost of Europeans are giving. Give a small scope there, give the companies which are there in India please allow them and put a small invitation, give them a little bit of support so that they open up their services there and your people are getting employed. And that the things that we have harnessed over the time of period, you are gaining those skills. You need to have that sort of think tank which is harnessing it. And Indian people, I have said, we are doing a great work under this Swarna Jayanti. Perhaps we need this sort of brains and people. You should invite those people, those youngsters to come forward to you and put forth these things so that whatever designs Modi Sarkar, our Prime Minister has, Honorable Prime Minister has, we can carry it out. That needs to be one agenda when we are having such meeting. Fine? And that's the message that we are sending, that we are there with Central Asian economies, and that's what we need to get it from them. They are looking forward for Indian interventions to make this economy more modern and more suitable to the citizens, because these are all, when we saw Islamic, they are in fact diversity there, lot of diversity, economic differences. So that has to be a government, or there has to be a model, in fact a model, which makes you more integrated, more peaceful, and more seasoned, more planned for the development of your people and for the development of us. History has united us. Now the question comes, our actions, our plans are going to make us more united in making the world more beautiful. Because that's what we say when we talk about Central Asia. We say once you have dominion there, once you have a presence there, it's a conduit, it's a place where you are making Europe and the world. That's one of the best places, and where you can have a presence that makes the world more integrated and more peaceful. Now, the moment you give them the benefit of development, the peace is assured. People take care so that these elements don't gain votes. So that's it. That's what I was hinting at. India part in Central Asian development, benefit of investment, areas of investment. Be sure that our interventions are not conflicting in the interest of China, Russia, and we become a better mediator between US interest and others, and little assurance and the scope for us to be part of development of your oil, gas. We want value addition there. Thank you. I am sorry if I've gained over the time. I'm really sorry if I've not. That's for me. Thank you.